Have you ever had the strange feeling that you were born with a greater purpose, as if the universe were silently guiding you down a sacred path? What if I told you that Edgar Cayce, the greatest spiritual seer of the last century, known as the Sleeping Prophet, left behind a revelation that could change the way you see your own destiny? In his thousands of prophetic trances, Cayce spoke about hidden divine missions, spiritual chosen ones, and heavenly signs directly linked to the Zodiac signs. And among these enigmatic messages, he revealed something that remains shrouded in mystery to this day: the 4 signs chosen by God. Yes, only 4. 4 signs marked by a powerful spiritual mission, chosen even before they were born, guided by invisible forces and protected by angels sent from above. Do you get chills hearing this? That might be a sign, a divine sign that this message reached you for a greater reason. After all, nothing happens by chance, not in the spiritual universe of Edgar Cayce. Get ready, because today we're not talking about ordinary astrology. This is a deep dive into what Cayce called souls with a prophetic purpose. You'll understand why certain signs carry more weight, why they experience unexplainable pain, and why they never quite fit into the world. Maybe you're one of them, or maybe you know someone who was born with this spiritual mark. In just a moment, you'll discover which 4 signs were chosen by God, the reason behind this divine selection, and what these souls came to accomplish on Earth. Could you be one of them? Stay with me until the end, because this revelation will touch parts of your story that you didn't even realize were connected to the heavens. And before we continue, drop your zodiac sign in the comments below, because if it's on the list, you'll understand why your life was never normal. And that's not a weakness, it's a spiritual consecration. The video starts now. So before we reveal the 4 zodiac signs chosen by Edgar Cayce and uncover the deep spiritual meaning behind this divine selection, I want to invite you to actively take part in this moment. Leave your zodiac sign in the comments below. Don't underestimate this simple act. Sometimes, this is exactly how the signs begin to manifest. When you open yourself up to receive them. By commenting, you not only connect with others who feel this same spiritual calling, but you also strengthen your own journey of self-discovery and mystical awakening. This content isn't just another video. It's a revelation that might resonate with deep truths within you. Truths you may have felt your whole life, but never knew how to explain. So if this message has already touched something inside you, go ahead and hit the like button right now. It shows that you're aligned with this message, and it helps the algorithm lead other chosen ones to this video as well. Remember, the more this message spreads, the more souls awaken. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to hear is just the beginning of a series of revelations that go far beyond traditional astrology. Here, each video is a spiritual key, a direct connection to mysteries kept hidden for centuries. If you feel that something greater is guiding you, if you feel you carry a mission, then you need to stay with us on this journey. The next name revealed could be yours. Now, let's finally reveal the signs that, according to Edgar Cayce, were chosen by God for a sacred mission on Earth. Have you ever had that strange and deep feeling that you were never like the others? That even in silence, some greater force was walking beside you? Maybe you're one of those people who feel more than they can explain, who see signs and coincidences, who have dreams that seem more real than life itself. If you've ever looked up at the sky and asked, "Why am I here?" know that this question, this inner restlessness, might be a calling, a subtle sign that you were, in fact, chosen for something greater. We're not talking about ordinary destiny here, not luck, not chance. We're talking about a divine mission, something far beyond what the eyes can see, something Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet, had already foreseen with astonishing clarity in his spiritual messages. Cayce believed that every soul is born with a task, and that some souls carry unique marks, spiritual, energetic, astral marks, that set them apart from all the others. According to his visions, 4 zodiac signs carry a special energy, an energy that connects directly to the highest purposes of creation. These signs were blessed with deep gifts, but they also face intense challenges, precisely because they are in tune with the invisible. And that's what we're talking about here. If you feel like you were born with a different kind of sensitivity, if it seems like you carry the weight of an intuition that sometimes pulls you away from the world, then maybe what you feel isn't just emotional, and maybe it's spiritual. And don't think it's easy to live with this mark. The chosen ones don't always live light, peaceful lives. On the contrary, their journeys are filled with trials, losses, new beginnings, and inexplicable pain. But it is exactly in those moments of darkness that the light begins to reveal itself. The chosen go through storms not to suffer, but to awaken, because it is in that fire that the spirit grows strong. Cayce said that chosen souls stand out not for their physical strength nor for outer beauty, but for the spiritual frequency they emit, and it shows in their gaze, in their words, in their silence, and especially in the signs they receive daily. Maybe you've never told anyone, but you've felt presences. You've had that sensation that something was about to happen. You've thought about someone just seconds before they sent you a message. You've looked at the clock and always saw the same numbers. You've dreamed of someone who has passed on and woke up with tears in your eyes. And even when you try to ignore it, to pretend you don't feel it, the universe insists. It sends more signs, more dreams, more sensations, because when you carry this mark, there's no escaping it. The mission always finds the chosen one. And if this message has reached you right now, in this exact moment, don't think it was luck. Maybe you clicked out of curiosity, but perhaps it was your soul that brought you here, because something inside you knows this story makes sense, that this video is more than information, it's a mirror, a reflection of what you've always felt but never managed to put into words. And that's why this content is so important. It helps you remember what you've always known but forgot with time. Remember that there is a reason for everything you've lived through, for all the pain, all the cycles, every tear that fell in silence. So stay with me. Allow yourself to feel. Let your heart absorb every part of this message. And at the end, when it all makes sense, I want you to come back to the comments and write just this: I know I was chosen. Or if you prefer, just comment the word mission. Simple as that. Because when you write it, you declare it. You activate something inside yourself. And you also send a sign to the universe that you are ready to remember who you truly are. Now take a deep breath, because we're about to reveal the 4 signs that, according to Edgar Cayce, were touched by God with a divine mission on earth. And now that you're here, feeling every word spoken so far, maybe with a racing heart, maybe with that sense that something is finally falling into place, I need you to understand this. This is not just another mystical video. This is a turning point. For many, this moment may seem like just another video. But for you, who feel that something greater exists, this moment may be the awakening of your spiritual awareness. Because when you begin to recognize the signs, when you stop ignoring the chills, the warning dreams, the coincidental encounters, everything begins to take shape. And this is what separates those who live on autopilot from those who walk with an awakened spirit. What Edgar Cayce revealed was never meant to be simply read and stored away, but felt, understood, and lived. He spoke of an invisible thread that connects the heavens to the soul of certain people, and that thread is anchored in the Zodiac signs, but not in the way most people think. He didn't treat astrology like a silly magazine horoscope, but as a sacred spiritual map, where certain signs carry not just personality traits, but portals to divine mission. According to his visions, there are 4 signs that didn't come to this world just to live earthly experiences, but to influence, guide, and protect others, even without realizing it. These are beacon souls, souls that, from an early age, feel they don't fully belong in this world, and yet, they persist. They fight. They feel everything more deeply. They love intensely. They're often disappointed, and they continue, because deep down, they know there is a greater reason behind every pain, every choice, every loss, and every new beginning. These 4 signs carry a common trait, a sensitivity that goes beyond the flesh. They see what others don't. They sense what lies beneath the surface. They are intuitive, prophetic, silent in their pain but radiant in their actions. Cayce said that the universe never sends them by accident to places, families, or encounters. Everything is aligned by a higher spiritual intelligence, a force that knows exactly what it's doing. And if you're one of these 4 signs, or know someone who is, it's time to start paying attention to the details. Because no matter how much you try to hide from your mission, it will keep knocking at your door, sometimes subtly, other times like an earthquake that shakes everything. You may have already felt it. That inexplicable urge to help someone who never even asked for help. That sudden awareness of danger seconds before something happens. That feeling of an invisible presence walking beside you, even in your loneliest moments. That's spiritual sensitivity. That's divine alignment. That's what Cayce called the echo of the ancestral soul, manifesting through the body, but coming from somewhere far deeper. You might try to rationalize it, explain it logically, ignore it out of fear, but if you're one of the chosen, these manifestations won't stop. On the contrary, they'll intensify, because the more you deny your essence, the more the universe tries to get your attention. That's why this video is a calling, not just another piece of content, but a spiritual summons. You're here because something inside you asked for answers, and they're coming. The revelation of which 4 signs were chosen by God, according to Edgar Cayce, is very close. And when each name is spoken, you will feel it. Not just hear it. You will feel it in your body, your soul, your heart. You will know, like remembering something that was always there, but had been forgotten. And at this point in our encounter, I want to open a space for you to show up. Yes, you. Don't let this moment pass. Write your zodiac sign in the comments below. This isn't just about curiosity. It's a way of declaring to the universe that you are ready to receive what you need to know. And if you've ever received any kind of sign, a dream, repeated numbers, a sense of presence, something you couldn't explain but felt was real, then write this phrase in the comments. I received the sign. It may seem simple, but it activates a vibration of spiritual recognition. And if you want to go even further, share this video with someone you feel carries a special mission. And now that you are fully immersed in this energy, feeling that this video is speaking directly to your soul, the moment many have been waiting for has arrived, perhaps with a racing heart, with that silent intuition whispering, my sign is going to be on this list. According to Edgar Cayce, who accessed higher planes while he slept, there are 4 signs that were not chosen by chance, but predestined. Souls sent with a different frequency, aligned with the highest purposes of existence. These souls don't just live, they guide. They don't just feel, they channel. And often they suffer in silence, because they feel everything more intensely, because they are different, spiritually different. The first sign revealed by Cayce as one of the chosen is Virgo. Yes, the sign of organization, the analytical mind, and precise detail. But what many fail to see is that Virgo carries the hidden gift of spiritual healing. Virgo energy is like a sacred scalpel. It cuts only to heal. It breaks down to rebuild. Cayce said that Virgos have a direct connection to frequencies of restoration. They are souls trained to be channels of healing, physical and energetic. And that's why they often feel drained, overwhelmed, or alone. They are always giving, even when no one notices. Even in silence, they are operating energetically. If you're a Virgo, this might be the explanation you've been waiting for, the reason for the weight you carry, and for the invisible force that keeps you going even when everything tells you to stop. The second sign on the list is Pisces, the one Cayce described as the soul that lives between worlds. Pisces doesn't see life like others do. For Pisceans, the boundaries between the visible and the invisible are thin. They are highly intuitive, naturally psychic. Since childhood, many report prophetic dreams, visions, and perceptions they couldn't explain. Cayce saw Pisces as a living bridge between heaven and earth, someone who receives messages from above and often doesn't know what to do with them. And that brings pain, confusion, but also extraordinary gifts. These are souls sent to remind us that there's more between heaven and earth than what the eyes can see. They are the bearers of mystery, of faith, of surrender. And that's why when they stray from their mission, they feel lost. But when they align, they shine without even trying. Now, if you are a Scorpio, take a deep breath, because Cayce was clear. Scorpio wasn't just chosen, it was spiritually marked with the gift of deep transformation. Scorpio energy is intense because it carries an ancestral power of rebirth. These are souls that die and are reborn many times within a single lifetime. They are tested, provoked, betrayed, knocked down, and still, they rise stronger. Scorpio did not come into the world to live a light life, but to teach the world about inner power, transmutation, and emotional truth. They are guardians of the unseen. Many Scorpios report spiritual experiences from a young age, lucid dreams, sensations of presence, intuitions that come true. Cayce said that of all the signs, Scorpio is the one that most attracts the gaze of hidden forces, both of light and of shadow. because it is precisely in chaos that these souls shine, and when a Scorpio awakens spiritually, nothing can stop them. Finally, we have Aquarius, and here, the revelation is just as powerful as it is unexpected. Cayce saw Aquarius as the divine visionary, the one who came to Earth with the mission of opening portals to a new era. Aquarians are futurists, free thinkers, revolutionaries by essence, but not just out of ideology, out of spiritual mission. Cayce affirmed that many Aquarians came from advanced star systems, committed to elevating human consciousness. That's why they often feel out of place, misunderstood, as if they live outside of time. And the truth is, they do. They live in the future, sensing what is yet to come. They are responsible for inspiring the collective to awaken, to break out of repetition, to see beyond the matrix. When an Aquarian embraces their mission, they become a conductor of collective change. They awaken not just themselves, but those around them. These are the 4 signs chosen by Cayce, 4 spiritual archetypes, 4 sacred paths. Virgo, with the gift of healing and silent service. Pisces, with mystical connection and supernatural sensitivity. Scorpio, with the power of rebirth and hidden strength. Aquarius, with vision of the future and the ability to elevate consciousness. Maybe your sign is on this list. Maybe you just saw yourself in every word. And if that happened, you already know what to do. Comment right now, "I carry this mission." Or write your zodiac sign followed by one word that describes how you feel after hearing this revelation. This helps create a chain of awakened souls, a community of the chosen, and shows the universe that you're ready to accept who you've always been. But being chosen, contrary to what many believe, never meant having an easy life, free of pain or struggle. In fact, the higher a soul's spiritual mission is, the deeper the challenges it tends to face along the way. Edgar Cayce, with his astonishing psychic sensitivity, not only identified the 4 zodiac signs chosen by God, but also warned that these souls live in a constant state of trial. And this is not punishment, it's preparation. Because every soul that carries light also attracts shadows. Every chosen one sooner or later will face invisible resistance, tests that seem never-ending, and life phases where God's silence feels deafening. You might think it's just a coincidence, but have you noticed that among all the people you know, it's exactly the Virgos, Pisces, Scorpios, and Aquarians who carry stories of overcoming deep wounds, significant losses, and unexpected new beginnings? Have you realized that no matter how many times they fall, they rise again in ways that astonish, as if something keeps them standing even when everything seems to collapse? This happens because these souls were prepared even before they were born. They have a deep calling, a specific spiritual mission, and the universe needs to shape them through experience. And that includes moments of pain, loneliness, silence, and abandonment. Because only those who dive into darkness are capable of carrying true light. These signs are not only protected, they are also closely watched by invisible forces. And when I say forces, I mean both light and shadow. Because a chosen soul is a threat to darkness. It carries codes, gifts, and frequencies that, once activated, light up spaces, awaken consciousness, and heal people just with their presence. But to carry this kind of energy, you must go through the fire, and this fire manifests in different forms. Losses that make no sense, betrayals that shake your faith, illnesses that appear out of nowhere, cycles that repeat as if something is trying to block your progress. This is not punishment. This is the refining of the soul. It is the universe saying, you are being prepared, not destroyed. Many Virgos, for example, face a sense of not belonging from a young age. They seem to never be able to fully rest, as if something inside them demands perfection at all times. This is exhausting, creates anxiety, and wears them out. But it also turns them into precise channels for healing energy. Through pain, they learn to care, to serve, to turn chaos into order. Pisces, on the other hand, often live between the real world and the spiritual one. They're misunderstood, called overly sensitive, distracted, or even weird. But only those who feel too much are able to hear the language of the invisible. And Pisces listens, even when they try to ignore it. Scorpio, as revealed by Cayce, may be the most tested among the chosen ones. They go through extreme losses, deep disappointments, and yet carry an inexplicable magnetism. That's no accident. Scorpio is born with the key of transmutation. They suffer, but they also teach others how to rise again. Their presence is transformative because their pain was real, and Aquarius, despite their advanced mind and vision beyond time, suffers from the loneliness of the visionary. Aquarians see what the collective cannot yet see. That's why they are often rejected, isolated, even disbelieved. But when they remain true to their essence, they become beacons of change, activators of new realities. They are the ones who break structures to make room for the new. And that mission, as you can imagine, is not easy. Being chosen is, above all, accepting a path that most don't understand. It means living outside the norm, feeling more than you should, questioning everything that seems normal. It means being called weird, crazy, dramatic, or even negative, when in fact, you're simply vibrating on a frequency others haven't yet reached. And that requires spiritual strength. It requires faith. It requires surrender. But it also requires remembering, every single day, who you are and why you're here. And if these words are resonating within you, if your chest feels tight or your eyes are tearing up, that's no accident either. It's because your soul recognizes the truth in what's being said. It's because you know, even if you can't yet explain it clearly, that your story has a greater purpose, that you came with a different mark, that you were chosen. And if you've made it this far feeling all of this, I want to ask you something. Declare your spiritual presence in the comments. Write your zodiac sign, and then with courage write the phrase, "I accept my mission." Or if you prefer, just comment, "I am resistance and light." These words activate energy. They are not just letters, they are soul declarations. And as you begin to recognize the truth contained in each word, you might start to remember moments when the universe whispered something in your ear, even if no one else heard it. You know those times when you looked at the clock and saw repeating numbers like 1111, 22, 22, 03, 33. Those moments when, out of nowhere, a shiver ran down your spine for no apparent reason. Or when you had a dream so vivid that, upon waking, you felt like you had actually lived it in another dimension. Well, none of that is imagination, nor is it coincidence. That is spiritual language. It's the universe, or rather, your spiritual guardians, trying to communicate with you, awakening your cosmic memory, calling you back to the path you promised to walk before you were born. Edgar Cayce used to say that those who came with a higher mission are never alone. They never were. They've been accompanied since birth by higher intelligences, by angels of light, by spiritual guides who don't interfere directly, but who observe, protect, and send signs. And these signs are not obvious. They don't show up as grand miracles. They come subtly, through synchronicities, gut feelings, encounters that change everything, words that strike deep into the soul. Like this video you're watching now. You feel it. Because these truths cannot be explained logically, they're simply recognized internally. Many people ignore these signs. They think they're going crazy. They try to rationalize. But the chosen ones know. Even if they resist it, even if they try to pretend it's just coincidence, something inside them recognizes the truth. And the 4 signs Cayce pointed out, Virgo, Pisces, Scorpio, and Aquarius, are especially sensitive to this kind of communication, each in their own way. Virgo notices the in-between, the details, the almost imperceptible movements of reality. Pisces dreams, intuits, feels. Scorpio senses it almost physically, as if their body is a radar for invisible energy, and Aquarius perceives through foresight, with ideas that arrive ahead of time, with mental visions of things that haven't even happened yet, but that they already know will manifest. These signs are also reminders that, despite all difficulties, you are on the right path. They serve as silent confirmations that a greater force is orchestrating every step. But there is a condition. Cayce warned that these angels and guides do not stay active if the chosen one loses faith. They remain present, but they pull back. Because spiritual connection requires openness, willingness, surrender. If you shut down your heart, if you choose to live on autopilot, the signs fade, intuition weakens, the light dims. That's why keeping your faith alive is an act of courage. It's a sacred commitment. It's saying every day, I know there is something greater guiding me even when I don't understand. And how many times have you felt that something saved you, even without knowing how to explain it? That one time you almost took a path but changed your mind at the last second. and later found out something bad happened there. That feeling of stopping, taking a deep breath, and sensing an invisible presence embracing you, a spiritual hand holding yours when you feel like you're about to fall. That's not fantasy. That's part of the protection these souls receive. But at the same time, this protection requires vigilance. It's like a silent covenant. As long as you honor your path, your guardians stay close. It doesn't matter if you're a skeptic or a believer. If you've been practicing your spirituality for years or you're just starting to understand this universe, the very fact that you're here, right now, listening to these words, is already a sign. And maybe, as you watch, you're feeling exactly what we've described. The chills, the memory of a dream, the urge to cry without knowing why. When that happens, don't run, don't block it. That's your soul saying it recognizes, that it's remembering, that it wants to return to where it came from, your spiritual truth. And now that you've heard all of this, I want to invite you to do something powerful, something simple, yet capable of activating real energy. Write in the comments if you've recently seen a repeated number. Share which number it was and what you were feeling at that moment. Or if you've had a prophetic dream or a gut feeling that came true, share it with the phrase, "I received the sign." And if you want to strengthen your connection with spirituality, write, "My angels are with me." These words are not just for this video. They create a vibrational field, a current, a bridge between you, the other chosen ones, and the beings of light who walk beside you. And now that you're beginning to recognize the signs, realizing that perhaps everything you've lived through until now wasn't a coincidence but part of a greater spiritual plan, it's time to bring a reflection as powerful as it is delicate. What happens when a chosen one strays from their mission? What occurs when, out of fear, exhaustion, or disbelief, someone who carries the divine mark chooses to ignore the call of their own soul? Edgar Cayce was clear in his revelations when he said that the greatest risk a chosen one can face does not come from outside but from within. It's not the attacks of darkness nor external obstacles. It's inner abandonment, the forgetting of one's true self. Because when a chosen one starts to doubt themselves, their light begins to weaken. And when that light dims, the signs begin to fade. The dreams stop, intuition fails, the glow fades little by little, and life loses that magic once felt in the details. This doesn't mean the mission is canceled or that protection disappears forever, but rather that the spiritual flow is interrupted, because the universe respects free will. And even though guides and angels are always available, they can only act with permission, with openness, with active faith. When the chosen one enters a cycle of denial, when they tell themselves they're imagining things, that it's all fantasy, when they place logic above the soul, something breaks, an energetic disconnection occurs. And this disconnection brings symptoms: mental confusion, stagnation, fatigue without cause, a deep sense of emptiness, because someone who has a spiritual mission and tries to live as if they don't, will inevitably feel lost. The world today encourages this disconnection. We live in an era that values the tangible, the immediate, the visible, talking about spiritual gifts, intuition, angels, invisible protection. To many, it sounds like madness, and that's exactly when the chosen one begins to stay silent, to doubt, to adapt to what doesn't resonate with their truth. But denying your spiritual essence is like trying to live with half your soul asleep. It's like rejecting the divine breath that gave you life. And Cayce said that the farther the chosen one strays from their path, the louder the call to return becomes. And that call does not always come gently. It may come in the form of a crisis, a collapse, a loss, because sometimes the soul needs to be shaken in order to remember who it is. If you've ever felt like you were on the right path and then suddenly everything froze, if you've gone through phases when the signs were constant but now silence reigns, this might be a warning, a plea from your soul for you to come back to your essence, back to your mission, back to belief. Spirituality doesn't demand perfection, but it does require presence. Chosen ones also make mistakes, also doubt, also get lost. But what sets them apart is that they feel when they're far from the truth. They feel it in the body, in their dreams, in their heart. And that sensitivity is a compass, a constant reminder that no matter how far you've gone, there is always a way back. Virgo, Pisces, Scorpio, Aquarius. These 4 signs were highlighted by Cayce not only because of their gifts, but because of the spiritual responsibility they carry. They can't afford to live on autopilot. They weren't made to follow the ordinary flow. They are souls that came to break patterns, to hold frequencies of healing, transformation, prophecy, and innovation. But when they deny that, they pay a high price. The feeling of deep disconnection, of living a life that no longer makes sense, of no longer recognizing themselves. And there is no greater pain for an awakened soul than living as if it were asleep. That is why this message must be remembered. It needs to be heard with the heart, not as pressure but as an urgent call to spiritual awareness. The world needs the chosen ones to be awake. It needs your light active, your gift in motion, your energy vibrating strongly. Because when you take your spiritual place, when you honor who you are, you become a channel of healing, not only for yourself, but for everyone around you. And that is the true purpose, to illuminate paths, even when your own is still in the dark. If you've stayed with me until now, it's because something greater has guided you to this moment. And maybe you can't quite explain it in words, but you felt it in your body, in your chest, in your soul, that subtle vibration that gives you goosebumps and quiets the mind as if something sacred were revealing itself right in front of you. And it is. This is not just a video, not just some mystical content. It's a direct call to your deepest essence, to that part of you the world tried to silence, but that never stopped pulsing. When we talked about the 4 signs chosen by Edgar Cayce, Virgo, Pisces, Scorpio, and Aquarius, we weren't just naming astrological traits. We were activating forgotten memories, reigniting ancient codes within you, touching inner portals that until now were asleep, because you didn't get here by accident. Something greater brought you. Maybe it was a silent search for answers you didn't even know you needed. Maybe a curiosity that made you click the video without knowing what you were about to find. Maybe even a sign brought you here. One of those little things that seem silly at first, but later make total sense. But the fact is, you're here, and that says a lot. And if what you've heard so far made you feel seen, validated, moved, then it's because you're ready to take the next step, ready to move past the surface and dive into your soul's mission. Your spiritual journey doesn't end when you discover you are one of the chosen. In fact, that's when it truly begins. That's when your purpose activates, when the universe starts showing you the path, placing the right people in your life, intensifying the signs, opening doors that once seemed locked. But that only happens if you say yes. If you say with your soul, I accept, because the choice was already made long ago. Now it's your turn to respond, to honor the call that has been echoing within you in silence for years, maybe even decades. It doesn't matter how old you are, or where you are. Spirituality knows no physical limits. Divine time doesn't follow human time. When the soul awakens, everything changes. And that's why I invite you, with truth in my heart, not to let this message die inside you. Don't just move on to the next piece of content like nothing happened. Something did happen, and you know it. If this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of who you are, if it brought tears to your eyes, or simply that deep silence that speaks louder than 1,000 voices, write this now in the comments. I was chosen, and I accept my mission. That phrase is not just a comment. It's a code, an activation. It's the universe hearing you, feeling you, responding. I know who you are, and I'm with you. And if you want to continue this journey, because yes, this is just the beginning, subscribe to the channel now. But don't subscribe like you would to just any other content. Subscribe as someone who is consciously stepping into a path of spiritual revelations, as someone who is ready to walk hand in hand with their truth. Because in the next video, we're going even deeper. We'll talk about the secret gifts each zodiac sign carries, including those that weren't mentioned today. And more than that, we'll reveal why some signs were placed in this world not just to live, but to guard souls, to protect spiritual bloodlines, to sustain energetic fields that no one sees, but that keep the physical realm in balance. You're going to find out if your sign is one of these guardians. You'll understand why your life has been the way it has, why certain pains keep repeating, why you feel like you're carrying the weight of people who aren't even yours. You'll see that this too is a gift, a mission, something deeply spiritual, and none of it will make sense unless you continue, unless you stay with us. So if this video spoke to you, if you felt like it was an answer to silent prayers, leave your comment now, or simply write, "My soul has awakened," And get ready, because what's coming will remind you of something you didn't even know you had forgotten. If you've stayed with me until now, it's because something inside you recognized the truth behind every word. And that in itself is already a powerful sign that your soul is awake and ready for more. So now, I kindly ask you, subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, but for you. Because this is only the beginning of a deep spiritual journey. And in the next videos, we'll continue unveiling mysteries that can completely transform the way you see your life and your mission. If you made it to the end, leave a comment below. I stayed until the end because I felt I needed to. Hear this. This phrase shows the universe, and yourself, that your presence here was intentional, that you honored this moment to the very last second. And I'll be there in the comments, reading every word with an open heart. Oh, and before you go, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot, but more importantly, it sends a clear message to the algorithm. This content matters and needs to reach more people who are awakening. Your like is more than a click. It's an act of expansion. And now, if you truly want to continue this journey, the next video is right here on the left side of your screen. Click it now and come discover the hidden gifts of your zodiac sign. Trust me, what's coming will touch your soul even deeper. I'll see you there.